Early in free agent, thought we'd hear from Veach. Landed reading Juju, and we traded off Tyreek. And got to find some CBs and dudes that can play zone. And got to find some DL, cause our pass rush all gone. But we've got some draft picks, lots of them are high. And we've got a QB that's a mother riot. What's up, everybody? Welcome to 21 Questions, KCSN's Q&A question and answer show. I had to lead off for this, but my good pal, I'm Craig Stout, my good pal, Kent Swanson, is our host today. Kent, my friend, how are you doing today?
So here's a fun thing. I don't listen to any KCSN podcasts ever. No, I don't really listen to 21 Questions, but like I've been hearing this rumor, like Craig sings. And I'm like, Craig sings? What? And so I finally listened back a couple weeks ago and heard one of them. I can't remember what the parody was. This is my first experience. This is my first experience getting to listen to Craig like live do this. And it's everything I've ever wanted ever. I have a new ringtone. I am just so happy. Like how long did it take you to write that?
You remember before the previous podcast that we recorded tonight when you were asking what I was doing? Yeah, the 30 seconds that was happening. That's about what that was. So
me and Maddie were sitting there trying to talk ourselves into George Karlaftis for like 15 minutes, and Craig's literally over there like just staring off into the like abyss. Apparently he was writing this song.
Just saying.
The defensive back part about playing zone or whatever just killed me. I just lost it. This is great. So we have a bunch of questions that you guys answered. It's from the KCSN Discord. It's one of the benefits of being a KCSN subscriber. If you're not, you should take advantage of it. You actually can take advantage of it with the KCSN Draft Guide too. $12.99. You get the KCSN Draft Guide, which releases on April 6th, which is Wednesday. You get a month of the of KC Sports Network, which also gets you access to the KCSN Discord where all these questions are being asked. And we have some incredible pals in there. They ask great questions all the time. So we're going to get right into it.
Well, wait, hold on a second. I have a question for you.
Oh, no.
When is Mustache Day? Well, what's happening here?
We need to.
Are you guys not doing it this year?
I'm not doing a good job of organizing life right now.
Oh, you're fine, man.
Yeah,
I thought I was teasing something here. That was unprompted.
I wish. I need to organize that because like we had the conversation this week. Like I think everybody's in to do Mustache Week again. I'm just all over the place right now, and I mean day job and stuff. I'm not going to be on the show next week.
Nope.
Like any shows next week.
Nope.
So that's why
the adults are gone. Maddie and I are just going to run this thing ragged. It's going to be great.
You guys are going to like, here's the thing. You guys are going to start the live show on Monday, and then I'm going to come back on Friday afternoon, and y'all are still going to be going on the Monday live show.
Highly possible. Very highly possible.
Like when BJ opened up KCSN 24/7, he didn't mean you guys.
It's true. It's true.
So I'm just, you can take a break here or there, Craig. I'm just saying.
We just have stuff to talk about.
But it's like, wait, I know this is like kind of inside baseball. We always start, like, we always have a plan. We always feel like we need a lot, like, to cover, like, 40 minutes of subjects. And we wind up getting through, like, the first thing we wanted to talk about in 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, so you guys are going to have a good time talking for, like, 3 hours. It's going to be great. All right. First question, Nick Deal asks, if you had to place a bet right now, who do you think KC's 3 starting cornerbacks are this season?
Man, that's a hell of a question. L'Jarius Sneed, I think that's the easy one. I'm going to go with Rashad Fenton. And then I'm going to say, let's call it Stephon Gilmore. I think this dance with James Bradbury is trying to get Stephon Gilmore to, get in. Basically saying, man, we're ready to move on without you. I think it'll be those 3. I think they'll draft a guy, But I think if they add Gilmore, they're probably going to go with a little bit more of a developmental guy and try and get a guy that's ready to go next year. How about
like
you?
a day 3
Who
or
you
day
think?
2? No, I think that's the move. Like I think something like that makes my sense. Like James Bradbury, you can. I think Gilmore makes a lot of sense. I think you're probably not going cornerback day 1 with that group. You're probably looking at maybe you might last pick a day 3. You might even be able to get cute and get to 121, which is one of those Tyreek Hill picks. I mean, this team has done it before. I remember. Do you remember when L'Jarius Sneed was picked? And I just remember the line that Steve Spagnuolo gave, because they took him at like the very end of round 4. Steve Spagnuolo's like, "Yeah, a number 1 guy. You're a number 1 guy." Like they would have taken him if he had been there at the first pick of round 4. Is basically what Steve Spagnuolo said. I found that 121 you can maybe find some value there because they found
Steve
value.
Spagnuolo moves on. Who do you want to be defensive coordinator so that you can keep your impressions going?
Ooh, well, Todd Bowles just got a head coaching job, but like pissed off Todd Bowles is amazing.
He is. Yeah.
It's just kind of like he's like trying to keep it together. Like he's really calm. He's just Shade asks, what is your ideal wide receiver trade target or realistic and or dream? So would you rather trade a first for Scary Terry or a mid-round for Laviska Shenault? So we actually literally just like talked about these exact scenarios on the KC Laboratory. I'm not big on trading a ton of capital, I think, for a veteran receiver. Like, I don't want to go too crazy. In fact, me and Craig aligned very well. We both kind of like the idea of just going and grabbing like Laviska Shenault, right, Craig?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, grab Laviska Shenault and then turn around Christian Watson at 50. Maybe
I don't think he's going to be there at 50. I'll just say
I don't think he's probably going to be there at 50, but I think somebody will fall in that case. Sky Moore maybe at 50 if that's the case. Basically try and get one of those guys. If you have to wait into the later parts of day 3, maybe a Calvin Austin. There's a few guys that make some sense that aren't necessarily in the physical mold, but guys that you could add to the equation, knowing that you've got Laviska Shenault there. Again, kind of like the cornerback room. You're insulating and you're not having to go get a guy. You're letting the board fall to you rather than, forcing a move to try and get a guy that can start day 1.
All right, so Brandon W asks, if the Chiefs trade up for an edge now, would you want them to double dip at the position? So if so, what round and who would you target for that second edge? So if the Chiefs trade up and go get an edge, I think that changes my plans. I want to hear from you first, though.
I'm picking Michael Clemens in round 4, period. He's been my dude since, last year, since I watched him destroy Alex Leatherwood. I think he's got the length and the power, doesn't have a whole lot of athleticism, but he wins, pretty quickly through the tackle, wins with power, has good enough hand technique, is not a bendy guy, very, very stiff. But that's why he's going to be available in round 4. And as a secondary pass rusher, and for this season, if you're trading up for a guy, he's like your 4th pass rusher, probably. So he's a guy that could come in, get rotational snaps, and a guy that you could maybe lean on opposite your premium guy, kind of in 2023 and beyond.
I'm not double dipping with any tangible asset if I'm trading up. So if I'm going up and getting Jermaine Johnson, I'm going and moving up. My double dip, quote unquote, is going to be a 7th round pick. It's not going to be something super sizable. It's going to be a day 3 selection. I'm not going to, I don't know if it's going to be as early as 4, honestly.
Put a name on it. Is it Jeffrey Gunter? He'd be fun. He'd be a
Jeff
fun guy.
Gunter's, I think if you want Jeff Gunter with the Chiefs draft capital, you got to take him in round 4.
I think so too.
We have him very high.
We do.
I don't know if I think we might be higher on the consensus. Jeffrey Gunter's top 100 for us in the KCSN draft guide. I'll just say that. That's not a bad one. Like Dominique Robinson, we're pretty high on him, but I think you got to go round 4 for him. And he's a little bit more of he's a project. Like he's a project. And he may never be a guy that can hold up to the run to the same standards that Steve Spagnuolo likes, but he's got the frame and the unique profile and all that kind of stuff. So
he makes a lot of sense along with last year's pick. You have developmental guys, like you really do, and just keep taking those swings until you hit on one. because
I
when you
think
hit on
those are.
one, it's going to hit. Yeah.
I think those are. I think those are round 4 investments if the Chiefs are going to make them though. And so I'm more like if I'm trading a bunch of capital to go get like Jermaine Johnson, we'll say Jermaine Johnson, I'm probably not going to go and grab another pick until like round 7 and go find some edge. Okay, so Tojo 144, which position group in the front office looking to address and fans are not giving it enough attention? Is the front office looking to address?
It's tight end. I think it's very clearly tight end. I think people look at the tight end group and they say you got 4 guys that's pretty good. Travis Kelce's going to be around here forever. Every year they sniff around the tight ends. We hear it. We see it when we're at the Senior Bowl, we're at the Shrine Game. We see these sorts of things happening every single year. They're constantly looking for tight ends. I fully believe that they're looking for tight ends again this year, just trying to upgrade the room.
All right, strongest Avenger 14. Would you be excited about trading for Kayvon Chason? And what would it take? And what do you think about him coming out? So, if I remember correctly, Craig, I believe Kayvon Chason really didn't hit the Steve Spagnuolo thresholds. I'm going to go back up and look, but like he's a departure from what the Chiefs have typically tried to grab at the edge position when it comes to when it comes to the guys that they've actually invested in pretty consistently. So I'd be a little bit surprised. I am like, if I'm looking at some of his modern, like his more updated measurements, it looks like he's a little bit thicker now. I'm seeing 6'3", 254 pounds, which is like kind of pretty close to that line on what he's, like what Spagnuolo likes, but
yeah,
I'd be pretty surprised. Like, I don't know if he's great against the run anyway. So that even from a measurement perspective, that's not something that really fits either.
No, he's got length. So I mean that at least works, and he's a fluid guy, but does not play with power, does not set an edge. You don't necessarily want him kind of rushing from the inside. If a motion kicks him to more of a 4-eye or a 5, that's not going to be where he's going to win. He's not at its best. I mean, I was a primary grader on him when he came out. And one of the things that I noted was that Jerry Jeudy blocked him in the open field and it stuck. Like, that's not good. So you don't want him. And it's really worked out in a way that, the Jags probably aren't super happy with some of the ways that he's held up against the run. You're hoping at that point, if you get a guy like Chason, he's mostly just a pass rush specialist.
We compared him to Jeremiah Ateochu.
There you go.
From a physical perspective, the Chiefs did have him in camp, and he was, I think he actually made the initial 53 and then got cut immediately, if I remember a couple years ago. Drew Clark, what current Chiefs player would you like to have a Mahomes or Kelce?
Ooh, Travis. I'm Travis Kelce.
You can't answer Mahomes or Kelce. That's what this says. You can't
answer Mahomes or Kelce. Sorry, I didn't hear that. Oh my goodness. Oh man, it's got to be an offensive lineman. Let's go with Creed Humphrey. No, Trey Smith. Let's make it Trey Smith. I'm going Trey Smith. I think he's probably going to show up with a cowboy hat on, and he's probably going to drink me under the table. So he'd be fun.
Orlando Brown would be a wild adventure, I have a feeling. That guy, I would be very fascinated to hang out with Orlando Brown Jr. And like, I mean, that's just a massive human. Like, just, seeing a single can in his hand, probably just, it's not like this, this
like Andre the Giant. Yes.
Yeah. And they bother on the peanut.
Is my job in this episode just to set you up for your impression?
I guess so. Just don't mention Eric Bieniemy's name. I might do a good job. Speaking of Trey Smith, Z total 15. Is there anyone this year that could be a Trey Smith and fall exponentially yet have great value? I don't know if there's really any off the top of my head that are quite like that at this point. And there might be some guys that you start seeing fall because of some medical concerns here, but there's no one as pronounced as the Trey Smith one. That one was a pretty unique situation. And honestly, when I hear back some stuff about that situation, when you ask some people, it doesn't seem like the medical conditions that were as public facing were really a concern. that's what's so interesting about the Trey Smith
Mhm.
situation, because like some teams cleared him, they weren't concerned at all about it, and like I heard more comments about like his knee at
Right.
one point when I was asking about it. So it's just like it's interesting. That whole thing, that whole scenario. The Chiefs obviously had a very good beat on the medicals. I can't think of anyone as defined as that though, Craig.
No, I got nobody. Justin Ross is the closest, but he's kind of testing already, so I think everybody
He's
has a
testing out of it,
general
yeah.
idea. Yeah.
I don't think the receivers with the ACLs are going to be at a discount.
Mm-mm.
So, I mean,
James Williams is out here doing drills already 2 months after tearing an ACL. He's going high, guys.
I think George Pickens is gone before the Chiefs pick at 30. That's a guy though. KCJP, how early should the Chiefs consider drafting non-premium positions that could be future needs like tight end, safety, linebacker, and running back?
Oh man, safety high. I think that the way that Spagnuolo utilizes his safety, and with Juan Thornhill being out of contract next year, and the 3 safety looks like I think that safety is one of those that's going to go pretty high. I would not be surprised to see them invest in tight end in the second round, late in the second round. I think that there's a sweet spot there. We kind of talked about on the mock draft earlier this week. That all of a sudden it was just like, oh, all the tight ends are still there. That feels like a market inefficiency. As far as running back and linebacker go, I think that at this point, you've got guys and you've got guys that you like and they're in the building. Obviously, take a guy if it's in day 3 and it just happened to fall, but I don't think that we're going to see them spending any early picks on either of those positions.
All right, Bruce in the Fort asks, is there a local product you'd like the Chiefs to draft or sign as a UDFA? I think I'd take a flyer on Sam Webb out of Missouri Western. He's a guy that we got to see at the East-West Shrine Bowl. Length, athleticism. I mean, there's some stuff to work with there. I think he kind of got, I don't want to say he got better as the week got on at the East-West Shrine Bowl. He kind of got more accustomed, I think, to the speed of the game a little bit and started to look a little bit better. It was kind of an up and down week, but like physically he fits. And I think he's a guy that you could see get, kind of thrown into the mix there. Steve Keese asks, should the Chiefs add some go up and get it to the passing game guys so it doesn't matter how many defenders are in coverage?
Yes, we would like that. I don't know that this team wants to have it. It's the whole chicken and the egg thing. Would Patrick Mahomes use it if it's there, or is it just something that's not in his game? That's not something that he wants to do regularly, or at least with guys that he trusts. Yes, it makes perfect sense. There is a hole on this team for guys like that that can go up and get it. Contested catch guys are becoming more and more important in the NFL, especially as cornerbacks get faster and everything. Like you said, blanket coverage, get a guy that you still trust to go up and get the ball. I just don't know if Mahomes himself even wants a guy like that, or if he's just looking for guys that can gain a little more natural separation.
Yeah, how many back shoulder throws has Mahomes made in his career?
I mean, at
And
least the
how
one
often
to what's his face?
Kelvin Benjamin.
Kelvin Benjamin. Yeah. At least the one.
He threw one. I think he threw one to Byron Pringle. Rail shots too out of cover too. He's not really attacking those. Clayton F asks, mentioned this in the draft chat, but I wonder if we see a change in philosophy some this draft. To me, it seems we may be shifting some areas in the types of receivers and out of need, and possibly moving on from Spags, a change in edge type. Do you think that's a possibility, Craig?
No, I don't. I think Steve Spagnuolo is very ingrained in the way that he does things. Now, if this organization is already eyeing the future and saying, hey, we got some guys that we have lined up after this season, after Steve Spagnuolo is out of contract, maybe we can move on and get some guys. Sure, that just doesn't seem like you're equipping Steve Spagnuolo with the right tools to do his job this year. And if that's the case, why wouldn't you move on? So as long as Spags is here and you're looking for guys like that, I think you're always going to have those types of big guys that can defend the run, that can shift inside. It's just his preference. He's gotten to a whole bunch of Super Bowls, and he makes constant improvements every single year from the start of the season, middle, and on. He wins in January with those types of dudes along the defensive line. I know the pressure's not great or anything like that, but that's where he has success. So I think that he'll continue doing that.
David Bradbury asks, who do the Raiders reach in the first round for this season? Well, they don't have a first or second round pick, so they reached for Devontae Adams. I don't think they're going to be very active. They only got like 5 picks. I don't think they pick until like the 80s. Yeah, they pick till like 86. So the Raiders saved themselves from themselves. I will say this, it's a new regime. So I don't think it's the same kind of stuff that we've seen with Gruden and Mayock. So, I think I think this regime might be a little bit different this go around. Okay, Azuri Gunner. If somehow every edge went before the Chiefs pick except for Ajabo, would he be worthy? Would be a worthy pick as the sole edge in the first 2 rounds? Ooh.
I mean, okay, let's put on this theory hat here. If the Chiefs really are hitting a harder rebuild, harder reset button than we think, David Ojabo makes all the sense in the world. That's a guy that you're never going to get that kind of talent without trading up. The Chiefs are constantly going to be near the end of the first round every single year, end of every round every single year. So you're going to have to trade extra assets to get a guy like David Ojabo every single year. Basically, the penance that you pay for David Ojabo being there at 29 is the fact that you're having to redshirt him a year. You still have 4 years of cost control. You still have the ability to basically sit there and develop him while he's in the room with Frank Clark, while he's in the room with Chris Jones. I would still pull that trigger, fully pull that trigger. Now, I hate the idea of not picking another one in day 2 because I do think that you need a guy in the rotation that's more of an instant impact. But if you were telling me that they knew Melvin Ingram was coming and basically your defensive line from last year is the defensive line that was showing up and you get to add David Ojabo as a future piece, yeah, I'm in.
Do you think the Chiefs can win the Super Bowl and take David Ojabo at pick 29?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I don't think that this team is going to be carried by their defense this year. And that's very frustrating for me to have to say out loud, but the holes that they have put on the defense and the choices that they have made to fill them, it appears that they're going to try and fill those through the draft or maybe trading draft capital for young players. We don't know, we still got a month to go before the draft, but as it stands right now, any improvements that they're making to this roster are going to come via young players and maybe not guys that are going to be able to contribute immediately. This isn't going to be, hey, we've got this stable baseline and we're going to be able to lean on the defense. I think they know that the offense has to be better and has to be able to control everything a little more, play a little more physical, control the ball a little bit more, so passing and running, not just,
try to dictate how the game's played again finally.
Correct. So I can fully see that being the case. I can fully see that being the case because they know the defense is going to be a little bit down this year, but I'm perfectly fine with David Ojabo at 29, knowing that he's not going to be there and they can still contend for the Super Bowl.
Horizontal game now that we have bigger wide receivers that can block well. I don't think I see more. I think this team does a lot of that anyway. And so, I think adding some better blockers maybe makes it a little bit more efficient. Maybe, McColl and some of those edge runs, they found a little bit of success, a little bit of heat late in the game or late in the season with McColl Hardman, some of that lateral stuff. Maybe it's a little bit better now that the blockers are out there. And I don't think Byron Pringle and Demarcus Robinson are bad blockers, by the way.
No, they're good.
But they have some decent blockers there too now as well with like MVS. Bo 2500, with all the draft capital we've acquired, is there any reason to think we're still in the running for Stephon Gilmore and or James Bradbury?
Bo, my friend, yes, because this team doesn't believe in drafting cornerbacks early. So they still need guys that can come in and that can play. So yes, I do fully believe that they're going to add one of those two. And I hope that it's Gilmore. And if it is Bradbury, I hope that the Giants eat some of that contract, because paying James Bradbury $13.4 million when you've hit kind of a reset button on that side of the ball just doesn't jive with each other. I know it makes the team better in 2022, but my goodness, that is a tough pill to swallow.
Fish asks George Pickens or Christian Watson. It's George Pickens every time for me, and I really like Christian Watson. He's a great consolation prize, but George Pickens is like top 10 in the KCSN draft guide.
I mean, George Pickens. I think that the part that people think about Pickens is he's just this big physical dude that kind of works on the linear plane. George Pickens is excellent at setting up cornerbacks, getting in their blind spots, breaking off routes, kind of in their blind spot. He does things that guys like Stephon Diggs really master and manipulate cornerbacks. And people don't give him enough flowers for that aspect of his game. So when we talk about Pickens and stuff like that, people maybe saw him at the end of last year where he's coming back from an injury and they're just like, yeah, I don't get this guy. I don't understand what it is. You go back and see. Yeah, go, Kent. Yeah.
Well, Stetson Bennett's his quarterback. I mean, I saw someone telling a joke like Stetson Bennett's going to be catching passes from Mac Jones in the slot New England next year, or in a couple years. I just like Stetson Bennett can't utilize George Pickens the way he should be used, but you saw flashes of his ability, his elite catch radius, his ability to go up and win the ball. And yeah, he's a lot more nuanced as a route runner, as a receiver than people want to give him credit for. Mm-hmm. He's an exception. He's a great athlete, big body guy. If he didn't tear his ACL, we'd be talking about him as wide receiver 1, clear cut. So yeah. I think he's going to wind up there. I don't think he's going to be at 30. I think I've said that before. I think I said that today on the show. Yep. The Abe Froman, what has been your proudest moment since you launched KCSN, and what are you looking forward to the most in the next season?
I will start. It's all the charity stuff. That stuff, it is awesome to get to interact with all of you. That building this community has been phenomenal, and I have loved every element of that. But one of the things that I think is the most important part of this, we all made a concerted effort from the start that charity was going to be a major aspect of this, through Feed It Forward, through the toy drive, donating books. The Operation Holiday, it just, everything that we've done from that point is just so satisfying to see that work, because I mean, we're a bunch of dudes sitting around here doing podcasts. Like we are like that's what this is. And so to be able to turn that around into something that's, actually helping people, not, just, people sitting around listening to us, turn around and actually benefiting people, helping people live their lives, helping the quality of life of people change, is just otherworldly to me. Like that's using powers for good. And so that's the part of this that I will always think is my favorite part, and I will always be looking forward to the most of anything that we're doing, regardless of how awesome it is. So
yeah, if you if you ever get a chance to go to Operation Breakthrough, do it. Try to go visit. It'll kind of just give you perspective, and getting to be part of like the toy drive for that, like, yeah, that was a pretty unique moment for, I think, all of us, and getting to do cool stuff with what we're building at KCSN beyond just like, talking about the Chiefs. It's been a really special thing. And I think honestly, like, getting to do it with these guys, and I think the response to all the stuff we've gotten to do, like, I think it's all been pretty surreal for all of us. So, I don't know. It's just fun to do it with these guys. Like we kind of said, like, this time last year, we were mulling over leaving and all this stuff. And like, I don't know. It's just cool to see that we've been able to all do it together, with this group.
By these guys, you mean DJ, right? DJ and Mike and Jeff and Matt. Yeah. No, yeah. That's who these guys are.
Oh, yeah. A bunch of former Chiefs. Yeah. That's who we met. Just DRK, can you guys sing a duet? We need to plan this, Craig, and maybe like next time we are together, I will jump in and do the intro with you, and I will sing.
He suggested maybe "Endless Love" by Diana Ross and Lionel Richie. We can't do that because both of us are going to fight for the Diana Ross part.
That's true. That's a fact. I will say this: the next time me and Craig are together, I will do a duet with him to intro the 21 questions.
You don't know this. None of you know this, but Kent's the best singer of anybody in the KCSN community. Not the community, but within the hosts.
I have some chops from specific karaoke songs. Meet Sorcerer asks. Besides, he might be asking why he has the best name on the Discord. I don't know. Which away game on the schedule is the most intriguing for you, and which home game is the most intriguing for you?
I mean, the Germany game against the Bucks is the most intriguing away game. That's going to be awesome.
If it is the Bucks, I think it's not for sure that it's the Bucks. It's very likely.
Yeah, no, it's not for sure. Definitely.
There's it's just weird. There's tweets. It's there's was it like Tim Grunhard that was basically like, yeah, we're going.
Yep, it's happening.
He linked it. Yeah, and it's not really got a ton of traction, but he's like, yep, we're going.
Yeah. No, I think that's the one for the away games. Home games, man, that's tough because I think it's the Bills
this year.
You think
I think
it's the
Bills game?
I think it's the Chargers. I think it's the Chargers for me. I think that's going to test their mettle. I think that I think it's the Chargers.
B Hudson, top 3 favorite beers or mixed drinks. Hashtag Macadoodles. Just give me one, Craig.
I can't. No, I can't. Heady Topper by The Alchemist out of Vermont. It's one of my very favorite all-time beers. I can't have it nearly enough.
I love a good old-fashioned, and I can't wait to have the bourbon from Holiday Distillery in my old-fashioned. I'm so excited about that. We have had.
What do you mean you can't wait? We've had one in an old.
We have. They pulled a couple barrels at 5 years, I believe, and mercy.
Yeah, it was good.
I cannot wait. Jacob M, what is the go-to song for karaoke night? I'm gonna go with one. I do like No Diggity. I can do all the parts for No Diggity by Blackstreet.
Okay.
That's the one I'm going to talk about.
I already did it. It was Macy Gray. I did it a few weeks back. So y'all got to hear it.
That's the one I heard.
Yeah,
that was the one I heard the other day.
Yeah. That's the one.
I've sang some Lonely Island before too. Mm-hmm. KC from KC, what's your take on Alec Pierce? Chris Sims had a glowing assessment. Chris Sims had a very glowing assessment. He called him the best route runner in this draft. I cannot go there.
Okay.
I am not there. But Alec Pierce is a very good receiver. I think he might. I know I'm sidebarring. I always say, here's the interesting thing when I sidebar. It's just my thing. So I keep talking about a lot of these receivers, and I'm like, he'll probably go day 2, or he'll probably go round 2. Because I think Alec Pierce is a guy that absolutely could go earlier than pick 64. But there's so many receivers that could go before pick 64. Mm-hmm. That that's where I kind of talk myself out of trading back. Alec Pierce has the talent to be a top 64 pick. If anybody takes Alec Pierce in the top 50, I get it. Because he's this big physical guy. He's a good route runner. He's a capable route runner. He's a guy that can win the ball in the air, physical profile, everything. He's checked a lot of boxes. Had a good Senior Bowl. I don't think he's the best route runner in this class, but if you told me that someone took him top 50, I'm not going to think anything less of him.
I mean, yeah, we got all this Christian Watson hype for good reason. Don't get me wrong. Christian Watson, it should be ranked above Pierce, but he's just as deserving of this, early round 2 hype. He really is. He's got a profile that you can kind of count on to succeed in the NFL. He makes contested catches. He has a route tree that he runs already. He's not just a limited guy. So from all those perspectives, and he's played within a mostly pro style offense with Desmond Ridder in Cincinnati. So you can trust that he's going to translate quickly. So he makes a lot of sense. There's how many other dudes in front of him that you look at and you're like, okay, I get why that's in front of him, and I get why he's in front of him, and I get why and then all of a sudden you end up with him at the back end of round 2. A chance for you to maybe catch a prospect that, you can rely on to come in and play some quicker snaps than maybe some other developmental guys.
All right. Zach Eisen asks, does letting Tyron and Sorensen walk make you feel good about the team's confidence in Juan Thornhill? Can I go first?
Yeah, you go first.
You got some takes.
Yeah.
I am one of the biggest Juan Thornhill stands. I was one of the biggest Juan Thornhill stands. I think we all were when the when
We
our
were
draft
fine.
guide
We were
released.
fine with them in the first round. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And pre-injury Juan Thornhill was looking like a outstanding, like we're as hyped about him as we are about L'Jarius Sneed type guy.
Mhm.
I'm not there anymore. I don't have a ton of confidence. I don't think Juan Thornhill's getting a second contract from this football team. I think he's a guy that you let walk, and it's a disappointment because I mean he was playing at such a high level. Before that injury, he's really coming on strong. You thought, hey, this is going to be the Tyrann Mathieu Juan Thornhill battery is going to be one of the best in football, and then it just never materialized after that injury. And I don't really have a ton of confidence. He's a fine rotational player, but yeah, they just signed Justin Reed. So I think that tells you what they think about Juan Thornhill more than just the Tyron Sorensen situation.
Yeah, I think that Tyrann wanted maybe a little more, whether it's the green dot, whether it's salary, whether it's something that the Chiefs weren't quite willing to give him. Dan Sorensen, it was time. It's time to move on. I don't know that that's an impact by Juan. Obviously, it is. Juan's there, and they feel confident in his ability to at least play the snaps. But I don't know that it's, Juan is so good that Dan is no longer needed anymore. I will say this. Juan Thornhill, guy that's coming off of an injury like that, coming off of a knee injury late, it does take time to get back into the swing of things. We are now very far removed from that. And we're not seeing some of the things, some of the explosion that we had seen before. And that's the part that's a little bit concerning because we love Juan. We want Juan to be successful. He's so fun to watch when he's healthy. So maybe you can look at it through the lens of his training regiment. They feel confident in what he's going to do this offseason to get back, recapture some of that explosion. Because if that's there, holy cow, they've got some explosion and speed in the back end of this defense again. If he plays like that, yes, he will earn a second contract. He will be part of the core going forwards. But if we see more of what we saw last season, I don't think that they're gonna. I don't think that they're gonna extend one. And it's sad. So.
Yep. Yeah, he's going to be a Juan contract player in Kansas City.
Man. Jeez.
No Chicken Tonight asks, what's the total number of players the Chiefs end up drafting? I'm going 8. Give me 8. That would be 2 more than Brett Veach has ever taken. I think I've said this a couple of times. He's taken exactly 6 players every single draft. I will be stunned if he does that this year because that means he'd be moving on from half of his draft cap or half of his draft picks. There's just no chance. It's got to be more than 6 this year.
What do you get if you bundle 3 7s together? A 6th?
You still have 9 picks.
And
you're still getting a pick back.
And then you're trading. And then you're trading up in the first. And then you're trading up in the third.
Let's play a game called "How Can Brett Veach Make Exactly 6 Picks in This Draft?" He trades away one.
We're playing it right now. I thought you were going to task our listeners with this.
No, he trades 1 pick for James Bradbury. Okay, so we're down to 11. He packages 3 7s for pick 190. Okay, so now we're sitting at so we'll say we're out of 7s. And now we have a 6th. So we're at 9 picks now.
Trading up for Jermaine Johnson. Spending 50 to do it.
2 firsts for Jermaine Johnson. So now we're at 8 picks.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because you 2 for 1.
Yeah, 2 for 1. That's fine.
Okay. He trades 40 and 135 for the 78th pick in the draft. Or 94 and 135 for the 78th pick in the draft. Okay, so now we're at 7.
And they're trading the 4th round pick for Laviska Shenault.
There you go. Okay.
There's your 6.
That's it. There we go. 3 for 1 pick swap to get down to 6.
Love it.
Okay. Okay. All right. So Sean H, do you feel that L'Jarius Sneed and Juan Thornhill are blue chip defensive backs that Veach sees as building blocks for the secondary going forward? So same kind of vein. Let's just make it specifically about L'Jarius on this one.
Yeah, I think that L'Jarius is. I think he's got the versatility to play inside and out. I like him better on the boundary. I think he's a really good slot defender, and I love his blitzing ability there. I just think that it's cheaper and maybe a little easier to find guys that can play in the slot there. Put him on the boundary where teams are clearly loading up to try and throw contested catch balls. We talked about it earlier. L'Jarius needs the type of guy that can go up and eliminate those. And if he's going to be that guy with better safety play behind him, he's just going to be an even better player on the boundary. I think we start talking about him if they get a slot guy. I think we start talking about him once again as one of those future really blue chip developing players if he gets to play on the boundary full time.
You want to talk about someone that could get a contract?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Jerry Sneak.
Pay him early. He starts looking good. Pay him early.
Yep. DSM Derek, what hair advice would Kent give Craig? Grow some. That is going to do it for 21 questions. Thank you guys so much for subscribing, for supporting KC Sports Network, for asking wonderful questions. We cannot tell you how much we appreciate it. It's been a wonderful year, and it's not even over yet. Year one's not even quite done. But we can't tell you how much all this means to us. Thank you again. We'll catch you later.